again, I don't want I don't want to cause FOMO or anything, and you know, my channel's not even big enough to cause that. But welcome to Whiskyinsv. I'm your host Sam, and tonight we'll be doing a blind tasting of the latest batch from Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, batch B524, against the best recent batch that was from last year, C923. Now, this is super exciting because, as you know, about halfway through last year, Elijah Craig decided to drop the 12-year age statement from all of their barrel proof variants that they release 3 times a year. And they instead decided, well, not to drop the 12-year age statement, but to instead not have an exact 12-year age statement, but basically have this kind of like exact to the month age in front of it. So before, the age statement was on the side, and now it's like up front, and you can see what it is. So batch B523 from last year, which was the second batch of last year. And if you don't know, so basically Heaven Hill has this sub-brand called Elijah Craig. They put out 3 different batches per year, and they are batches A, B, and C, or I should say A1, B5, and C9, because they're released in January, May, and September. And the last 2 numbers are the year, basically the last 2 digits of the year. So this is B524, meaning it was released in May of 2024, and this is C923. It means it was released in September of 2023. So as of last year's B batch, which was B523, they decided to drop that 12-year age statement, and instead I think that one had an age statement slightly under 12 years, and I think it was 11 years, 5 months or something like that. But then, so everyone was really worried and it was kind of a mediocre batch. So everyone was really worried that they're getting rid of the 12-year age statement, and they're just going to keep getting less aged and probably worse quality. But then in September, they released the C923, which had amazing specs. It comes at 13 years, 7 months, so fully 1 year, 7 months more than the 12-year age statement that we're used to. And it's 133 proof, which is 66.5% ABV, and one of the highest ABVs in the recent past. And then after that, there came the A batch for 24 was a really bad batch. It was I think it was both the lowest proof they ever had. I think it was under 60%, and it was 10 years, 7 months or something like that. So I did a review of that on my channel, and it was really disappointing, extremely disappointing batch, especially coming from the C923. However, they just released this B524, and it is still less than 12 years. It's 11 years, 2 months. And it is, the proof on it is not too bad. It's 130.6, which is 65.3%. And these are not available in the Bay Area yet, so I had to order it from the East Coast. I actually had to pay quite a bit over MSRP. I think the MSRP on it has gone up from in the order of 65 to 75. I had to pay 120 to get this to my door, which is quite a lot of money to pay, but given the quality, I'm actually not disappointed at all. So I don't want to spoil too much, but I did crack this yesterday, and I tried it next to the C923, and lo and behold, I was shocked to say that I actually seem to have preferred the B524, which I never thought would be the case, given how much I loved C923. The C923 was my best bourbon of the year last year, if you take into account like value and everything else. And even if you don't take into account value, it was definitely in my top 5 for sure. So far this year, it seems that this may actually be the best bourbon of the year. But of course, on a fresh crack and in one experience, you can't tell. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to do a blind tasting of these two next to each other, and see if I actually do prefer it in a blind tasting, if I can tell them apart. The good thing about these two whiskeys is they're both excellent. So I think you can't go wrong whichever you try. But of course, given how much fanfare C923 got, and C923 now in secondary is selling for 180 plus. So if they just came out with this batch and it is every bit as good, then it might be your opportunity to make sure you stock up on this one when it comes out. Now, I don't want to cause too much FOMO, and I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes, I believe. But credit where credit is due. Heaven Hill has done an excellent job with this batch, and I am really, really pleased with how well it's come out. So let's put these here and see. I'm going to put number 1 on the latest batch, the B524. I'm going to put number 2 on the C923. We're going to put them on the turntable, and here we go. Right. So as I said, the C923 has become such a recent favorite that everyone has started hoarding them, and they became extremely hard to find. And now they're selling on secondary for 180. I would say 150 at least, but up to 180 plus. Right. So it basically became unattainable. I think like at 180, I wouldn't really want to buy a C923 if because I have a few backups. But if it was my first one, I would say it is worth $180 because it is really that good. And there's a reason why the secondary price is that, because secondary price is the market price, is what people are willing to pay, right? So in the end of the day, if you were lucky enough to bunker a few C923s, then good for you. If you're not, I have great news for you, because I think this B524 is your chance to try an excellent Elijah Craig, barrel proof, at hopefully a reasonable cost. Okay, so as usual, we will nose them first and give you some notes, then taste, give you some notes, then I'll guess which is which, and then we'll do the reveal. All right, so straight away on the nose, it's a beautiful nose. There's lots of a nuttiness past the bourbon flavor. So of course it is a very viscous bourbon, so you're going to get deep caramel, vanilla, brown sugar, those oaky notes. But what this also has is nuttiness, and the nuts remind me of a cross between peanuts, hazelnuts, and almonds. It's in fact the peanut aroma is strong enough that it kind of reminds me of Jim Beam products, which are known to have that nutty characteristic. As you know, for me also Jack Daniels has some nuttiness, but that nuttiness in Jack Daniels is very distinct from this. Jack Daniels peanuts nuttiness is purely peanut shells for me. This is more. This also has like almonds, and it has sort of hazelnuts in it as well. It's really an amazing nose. Very layered, very. There's some sweet and confectionery notes. What a great nose. Okay, let's go try this one. Okay, so very similar nose. Again, like lots of nuttiness. Get a little bit more nuts on this one. Very similar. It's I guess there's a little bit more of a kind of ethanol note to this. But going back and forth, there's not too much of a difference. It's very similar. Okay. So I would say on the nose, slightly more nutty, slightly more fruity, and little bit more ethanol on this one, but not too much. Overall, I think I would probably, depending on the night, might prefer one over the other. No big preferences. Okay, so let's try the taste now. Interestingly, this has, despite having less ethanol on the nose, I'm getting more of that like ethanol notes on the palate. Still, it's very little amount of ethanol, despite both of these being above 65%. What I get here is, that's the start is obviously that concentrated syrupy sort of flavors with brown sugar and oak, and then the baking spices are super mouthwatering, and then as that dies down, the lingering feeling is just this like viscous kind of sweet oak flavor that's lingering. It does feel a little bit one-dimensional. It does what it does really well, but let me just try that again. Yeah, there's a little bit of an astringency at the start of it, but it dissipates pretty fast. And then like the oak and all those flavors, they're really, really great. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, going back to this, like now the peanut note is actually, the peanut and like nuttiness is actually like accentuated even further. By comparison, I feel like this has a much more layered experience. There's, despite having a little bit more ethanol on the nose, it has a lot less ethanol on the palate, and it's much more nutty on the palate. So it starts with the nuttiness, and then those kind of confectionery and sweet, deep like caramel and vanilla notes come out with oak, and it lingers on, and it goes back and forth between the mouth-watering kind of the baking spices and the caramel and vanilla, and at the end you still get like a little bit of a lingering like nuttiness into it as well. It's really amazing. It's kind of crazy because if you didn't tell me that this is not this is a Heaven Hill product, I would have thought that maybe it is some sort of a Jim Beam product. It's like maybe like a really excellent batch of Bookers or something like that. It's it feels a little bit off profile, to be honest, for Elijah Craig, but but in a really positive way. I really enjoy it. If I remember correctly, this flavor profile yesterday was the B524. So that's going to be my guess, and I have to say I really do prefer this, whatever it may be. I really hope I'm right and it's a B524, because C923 is not hard to get, and I really enjoyed this. Okay, let's do the reveal. So, what is this? This is number 1. So yes, this is B524, which makes this number 2, which is the C923. Yeah, so guys, I'm shocked at Heaven Hill putting this out. Despite the lower specs than the C923, it is the one that I prefer. Now, maybe your palate's different. Maybe you don't like Jim Beam. Maybe you don't like nuttiness. But for me, man, this, yeah, there's no contest to me. For me, like, this is significantly better than the C923. Now, my C923 has been open for a while, and this has just been open. And I don't know, my memory of C923 is that it used to be better when it was higher up, but usually people say that as it goes down, it opens up and it should get better. But this has been open for a while, and it has more than 3/4 gone. So I wonder if there's some weird thing that's happened that's making me like it a little bit less. I should probably open a new crack of the C923 and do a comparison. But if this is anything to go by, I significantly prefer the B524, and I will definitely be getting me a backup. So, yeah. Again, I don't want I don't want to cause FOMO or anything, and my channel is not even big enough to cause that. But if you get a chance to try this, definitely give it a try, and do a side by side and let me know what you think, because I really wonder, is it just me, or is it just my specific preference, or is it everyone else has tried it is going to be thinking the same? Honestly, the guy that I got this from, well, not that guy. There was another guy that was talking to try to get this from, and he told me that this is the better than C923, and I didn't really believe him. But having done the blind, and it is really that much better. So, anyways, I'm gonna stop right there. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you can get your hands on this, get at least one and try it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, take care and see you next time. Cheers.